Berryman with the Real Estate Action Network again. Today we're actually going to be talking to one of our coaching students, Michael, who's in Florida, who's actually needing some help with a property that he's got under contract. Should be interesting. Stay tuned. Michael, this is Aaron Berryman with the Real Estate Action Network. Just to let you know, we've got you on record today, but I know that you said you had a couple of questions that you wanted to address about the property that you had under contract. How can I help you?
Hello, Mr. Berryman.
Hey, um, so I know.
Basically, Derek is asking for a guarantee of $20,000 to $15,000 on the property, and I'm not really sure. I mean, I just met with contractors all day today, and
Okay,
they can do it for 50. They can't do hurricane windows because the hurricane window is like $15,000 for the entire house.
okay,
They could do that. As far as the kitchen goes, there would be they can't expand the kitchen at all for that budget. But everything else can be done, so it can still be a clean product. Um,
and what was the total outlay on that? So what was going to be your total expenditure on from that particular contractor?
um, well, I got a few bids back, but $50,000 basically is the budget that we're looking at.
Okay, so just to refresh, you got a property under contract for 150,000. You believe the value on the back end is anywhere from 230,000 to 250,000, correct?
Correct.
Okay, and right now you're getting contractor bids as we suggested, and that is running you anywhere. I think from the low end you said 40,000 up to 80,000. Is that right?
Yeah, I got one back that was at 42.8, and
42.8 was the
that
lowest.
was at like 80,000. That guy was out of the market.
Okay,
So
so
I met with three people today, and I'm going to hear back from all three of them later.
now when you said you met with him, you're back in Florida, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so you met with three of them. So your two highest bids are the 80,000, and what's the second highest bid?
The other bid is going to get 42,000. 42.8.
42.8. So you only have those two bids back, correct?
Correct, and that doesn't include appliances. That bid.
Wasn't there also a bid that you received in the $60,000 range?
Oh yeah, I forgot about that bid. Stephanie, my assistant, didn't really like that guy. She seems really unprofessional, so I kind of just tune that one out. But yeah, that one came in. I believe 60 something. I can't remember. I think it was low 60s.
Got it. Okay. So here's my, there's two reasons why you get these multiple contractor bids. The first is you get the bids for your own knowledge to know how much you're going to actually have to spend to do the project. And then the second reason is that you can use those bids as leverage to potentially get the price down from the seller. So I would obviously try to go with the lowest that you felt most comfortable with in terms of who you might choose to go forward with on the project. But in terms of the bids that you submit back to the seller in order to try to get a price reduction, I would use the higher bids. So even though the guy that gave you a bid for $80,000 was out of his mind, you can give him that bid. You can also give him the $60,000 bid and maybe the other $60,000 bid, really kind of showing to the seller that the cost to repair the property to a level in which you can ultimately resell it is going to be near $60,000, and letting her know that your anticipated cost was much less when you preliminarily made an offer on the property, and that might give you some leverage when you try to get the price down.
Makes sense. And the property is also going to have to be tinted because there's termite damage on the outside of the property where the carport is.
Okay.
They went into the attic two of them today. They didn't see any termite damage there. They saw the water damage. And the ladies tried to basically spray paint the walls, like paint the walls, paint the ceiling to cover up like any flaws or any damage that fell property.
Well, yeah, we don't know if that was the seller that actually did that or if somebody else did, but yeah, at some point it looks like it'd been tampered with or altered. It sounds like, right?
Exactly.
Okay, got it. So at the end of the day, you obviously want to go with the contractor that you feel most confident about at the lowest price. However, sometimes you get what you pay for, so you also want to be mindful of that. But relative to your particular question, which was, your money partner, in this case, the gentleman's name is Derek, was wanting to get a guarantee from you that his return on investment would be at least a flat rate of $20,000, correct?
Yeah, so it would be about 10% if we. any concessions on the property. So it'll be the 150 purchase price and then $50,000 rehab that we estimated.
Okay, got it. So 50K rehab, and irrespective of what you sell it for, he wants at least the 20K back as opposed to the 15 that you originally spoke about, right?
Yes, because the ARV we're looking at 230, so that would be the 15, which we should be getting 50%, either in cash or in equity.
Okay.
Cash in the equity, or give cash some equity in cash.
Got it. And just to kind of refresh for those of folks that are listening, you have kind of toyed around with the idea of possibly buying this property yourself with your own financing, whether it be FHA or conventional, to ultimately use it as a property to buy and hold. Correct?
That is correct.
So irrespective of what your exit is, whether it's to an end buyer or a retail buyer and or to yourself, your money partner is looking for at least a $20,000 return on their investment, or at least a $20,000 profit after they've invested what they've invested in the project. Correct?
Correct. And also he's saying that if the appraisal comes in high, that we can negotiate it back, which I don't necessarily agree with. If I were to go that route, I'm going to guarantee him the 20%, then he shouldn't get anything back in. So because the appraisal could come in at 220, and then I'm basically purchasing the property at retail.
Right. I think so. He's almost asking for what's called a preferred return. So he wants his guaranteed return, and then wants whatever above and beyond he gets at his guaranteed rate split. And that's not really fair. So really, the way that I want you to think about this is that there's two ways that he can partner with you. He can partner with you as either a debt partner, or he can partner with you as an equity partner. There is a third option, which is what he's proposing, that he does a little bit of both, that he's both a debt partner and an equity partner. But that's not really advantageous to you. So if he's a debt partner, that essentially means that he's going to make an investment and you are going to repay the debt plus $20,000. And if that's what you guys ultimately agree to, then that's what he is, and that's it. I would not negotiate on anything beyond that if you feel like you've got some leverage in that vein, especially because you guys initially were talking about 15,000 as opposed to 20,000. Or the other option is that he's an equity partner, an equity investor. And an equity investor means that he is basically your partner. He's going to front all the money. You've essentially fronted the sourcing of the property. You've done all the front end negotiations. You've done the due diligence in terms of figuring out what the cost of repairs are, and you will also kind of put in a bunch of sweat equity in the interim of the project, so that your value is really sweat equity and sourcing, whereas his value is money, right? And then you guys split whatever that ultimate profit will be. So if that profit is 20,000 and you've agreed to a 50-50 split, then each of you would get 10. If the profit's 50,000, then each of you would get 25. If the profit's 80,000, then each of you would get 40. And he still benefits in that way. If he is okay with, so you follow me on the differences between the two, correct?
Yes, debt partner and equity partner.
Okay, so he's a debt partner or an equity partner. If he says, I want a guarantee, then he's a debt partner, because you've got to basically personally guarantee that you're going to give him 20,000. Let's say that the project, God forbid, fails miserably, and it only produces a $15,000 profit, right? Well, that means that you would make no money. He would get the $15,000 in profit, and then you would have to pay him another $5,000 out of your own pocket just to make the deal work.
Yeah, and he did say that pay him the difference, what he would do it at principal only payments, for whatever period that I would want.
Okay, so
exceeding, I think, 5 years.
So really, what he's doing is he's giving you, he's not, he's really looking out for his best interest, and that's okay. But you have other options as well. So remember, you still have until, I believe, December 21st. Is that right? To close on this? September 22nd. Just for those of you who are listening, the date today is December 3rd. So you still have about 20 days to wholesale this deal if you so choose, if you desire to do so. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
My money goes hard on Friday. So that's kind of the reason why I'm kind of concerned. I feel like I'm kind of backed up against it.
Gotcha. And
Figure out what to do.
just to clarify for our listeners, when you say your money goes hard, that basically means the deposit that you've already put down will no longer be refundable after Friday, correct?
Correct.
Okay, got it. So it's imperative that you figure out what your exit strategy is going to be sooner than later so that you don't risk losing that $5,000, right?
That is correct.
Okay, got it. So, you know, the one good news that you have is that you've got a money partner who's committed on his terms. I would probably go back and try to negotiate those terms so that he either accepts one or the other, being a debt partner or an equity partner. Either he agrees with the perceived value of this property and thinks that he could make enough of a return on equity, or you guys agree to either that $15,000 or $20,000 debt piece, and that's all that he gets. Because I think otherwise it really is not advantageous to you. You won't benefit to the same degree that he would, even though you're in complete control over this property. You still have the opportunity to wholesale it. You also have the opportunity to potentially shop for another money partner. Now, if you're interested, I might be able to connect you to another money partner. However, what most money partners are going to look for is someone with experience, and that's your one challenge right now is that you don't have much experience running a project. So a money partner that's not familiar with you, that isn't a friend or an associate, might not necessarily feel comfortable lending you the money without you having some skin in the game, meaning that you have some of your own money in the project. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. That's one of the obstacles that I've actually come up against because I have talked to about four different hard money lenders, and two of them basically said you need to have X amount of properties in your belt and have some experience. And there are two others that are interested in basically funding the deal. They said that's basically put it to an LLC or have an LLC in order to do so.
Well, the good news.
To go that route, they start
the good news is what we did for you, and we don't do this for everyone, but because we had a special relationship with you and you've been a client and a friend for some time, we actually were enabled you to get the property under contract using one of our acquisition entities and also using our proof of funds. So there's still an opportunity if you wanted to close in our name, so not do the final assignment back to you, but you could close in our name as an LLC, and we do have quite a bit of experience that we can show where we flip properties successfully. So that's an option as well. But I think at this juncture, relative to Derek and your preliminary question, I would really go back to him and talk about debt versus equity and what type of partner does he want to ultimately be. He's basically wanting to get a guarantee plus some profit sharing above and beyond that. And if you're okay with that, then so be it. But I think you might be able to get a better opportunity elsewhere. And then I also would encourage you to really proactively try to get that property wholesale. So, I don't know what kind of response you've been getting on the ads that we've talked about you placing or not, but that's something that I would still look very closely into. And you can, if you wanted to, you might want to think about wholesaling it all the way up to that 22nd of December. And then if that does not work out, then you just utilize Derek in whatever capacity that you ultimately agree to work with him. Does that make sense? Michael?
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm still here.
I thought we lost you there.
My cheek actually gets me.
Well, you know what? So that happens sometimes. You need to exercise those cheeks a little bit. I'm just joking. Anyway, so hopefully that helps. I think I would really talk to Derek about debt versus equity. It's one or the other, and go from there. I think he's going to opt to go with the debt amount, and maybe what you do is say, listen, you know what? Look, we talked about 15. I'll guarantee you 15. Anything above and beyond that, I'll give you up to 20. So maybe you do profit share up to 20 beyond 15. So the guarantee would be 15. Profit share would be up to 20. If you wanted to extend that maybe to 22.5 or 25 or what have you, you could do that and know that you've got the exit built in no matter what. And in the meantime, in the next 20 days, you could really be aggressive about trying to wholesale.
Okay, that makes sense.
Okay?
I appreciate it, man.
No problem. Any other questions?
No questions at the moment. So I appreciate it.
Fantastic, Mike. Good luck. And if you need anything, give us a call.